So is Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it? I know, officially it's X, and I guess the logo has changed. I've got to start acknowledging the fact, but I'm sorry. If you go to twitter.com, you still get to Twitter. But Twitter and X, whatever you want to call it. Listen, Elon Musk, who now owns the platform and has so now for quite a while, almost a year now, recently met and had a conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, right? The Israeli PM was in the United States, actually toured a Tesla factory at one point, and in a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu, Elon Musk said, and this echoes some things we've heard from him in the past, he said, we're moving towards having a small monthly payment for use of the system. So people heard this, and now it is being turned into basically the party's over. Twitter's going to charge everyone. Now let's talk about this a little bit more with Mitch Joel, tech advisor, investor. He's the author of Control Alt Delete, and he's got some hot takes on this one. Mitch, welcome back to the program.
Great to chat with you, Elias. Thanks for having me.
First things first, I know that made headlines, but how much of this is real new news from Elon Musk?
I think it's net new news in the sense of we have had Twitter putting up the premium payment, which was originally called Twitter Blue. Now it's just called Premium because, like you said, it's called X, Twitter. We go back and forth. And also, we have heard him talking about this X app being the app for everything, which would have monetization mechanisms built into it. The net new is this idea that everybody on the platform would now be having to pay for it in order to have access or usage of it. And when you say hot takes, my hot take is, I think this is a really good idea, actually.
Why is it a good idea?
I think it's a good idea for a myriad of reasons. One, he's talking about this idea that with payment, we're really able to counter the bots and the fake accounts. And I think that that's true, but it may not resonate with the greater mass population. And I think that Elon often has a challenge communicating those ideas. I think what I would say in a more simplistic way is payment means verification. It's much easier to know who a user is. This makes it much easier to moderate content. And also it does work in terms of countering bots and beyond that. But you start getting to a place where suddenly maybe we'll be able to reduce the amount or the proliferation of multiple accounts, right? If you're acquiring payment for each account, you won't be in a place where people are just shooting up all these ridiculous accounts, which have, impersonation or harassment issues with it. And I also think when you do this, you'll start weeding out all of these inactive accounts, right? If you're charging a nominal fee, it might prompt users to assess their engagement on the platform. And I think this could lead to a really smart way of deactivating inactive accounts, which reduces the overall clutter. It makes it easier for users to find better content. So that would be one reason, but I've got many more.
Now, but Mitch, here's the thing. The vast majority of Twitter users don't pay, and the argument can be made, try and make them pay. This will actually, once and for all, get one of the alternatives, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads, whatever you call them. They've all fizzled, but it'll finally make one of those alternatives become a viable alternative. Isn't that a real possibility?
I think it's a real possibility in the sense that we always have competition in media and social media platforms, but we have to remember that we have many different types of media. CJAD, as an example, is free and available to anybody who has access, but we have media examples like The Economist, which is subscription only. You pay a very high cost to have access to that type of content. So if they are thinking, hey, we want to move away from an ad-supported model, we want to take this step away from that. We believe that there's more sustainable revenue. If you think about the decline in advertising revenue because advertisers are either boycotting it, there's concerns over their content management, maybe introducing a very small user fee could provide a more stable and sustainable source of income for Twitter, right? It reduces their reliance on advertising and moves them to this place where people are paying because they actually want to be active and be a part of it and have maybe access to a more specific group. So you have to remember that in this, Elias, you have a platform right now with 350 million active users. It's very, very big. About 650,000 are paying for premium. And if we just said that, we just said, look, there's 650,000 people paying the premium price. That's still bigger than most media channels anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, part of the special sauce of Twitter is the hot takes and the commentary and the smart stuff. I mean, like it's no joke. Most of the thought leaders out there are going to be on Twitter, right? And if you sort of lose a bit of that special sauce by charging people that would normally post, I wonder if you're not losing the essence of Twitter, where it doesn't become as an interesting product.
Well, this is where the magic might be, because Twitter, or X very recently, has begun paying creators. They've been paying people based off the size of audience, whatever is happening there. So in a sense, if you're building your audience, you may in fact not only be making your money back, but actually making incremental money on top of that. So I think for the little people like me, maybe it's not so monetarily enticing or interesting, but for the bigger celebrities, it won't have an impact at all, because it'll, whatever they're paying to just be active on it will be offset by the fact that they're generating more and more income. And I think that by doing that, it's kind of like freeloaders be gone. So maybe you'll have more quality in terms of the people that are there. Maybe you're reaching a better quality of person. I mean, I kind of like this idea. And also, let's face it, I think we should be in a place where we're creating comfort and paying for services that really provide us with quality and value. I think we always talk about that in the media. We're seeing that with Bill C-18 and beyond. So why do we have a problem with it here? But on the other side, we're saying, well, we should all pay for quality content. I think this is a very good step in mitigating that.
So here's the thing, Mitch. I actually think people don't view Twitter X in actually the right way. If you were to say, if someone said to me, Elias, when I snap my fingers, Twitter will no longer exist. It won't be on your phone. It doesn't exist as a product. How would you replace the news you get on Twitter? You know, my response would immediately not be a social media network. It would be Apple News. And that's $14 a month. And it's a great product. In fact, when I have to get news, sometimes now, because Twitter has gone a little bit away at times from getting news of the moment with their algorithms, I think Apple News is the best true competitor to Twitter than the social media networks. And so I wonder if we're missing out on that, the value, the content value that you talk about that's worth it. Maybe we have to start viewing Twitter as not a social media network, but something else.
Look, my Twitter feed is really intellectual and really interesting. I curate who I follow very specifically. I build lists around my areas of interest, and I recognize most people are not as nerdy as I am, but it is an amazing place for me to get, as you said earlier, those hot takes. So I'm not necessarily looking for directly news. I'm looking for opinions and insights based on things that might spark a different way to think. I think the complement of a place like Apple News, which I agree with you, and a place like an X or Twitter that has a bit more of that feeling of the people who are here are really meaningful and want to be here, you can have that. And by the way, you're not going to not have your people on your left or your right or your crazies or they will still pay and be active. You will just hopefully have a better way to filter it. And also, let's face it, it might be a better user experience, because if you're paying, it means they're not relying as much on ads. Yes. And so that might go away. During the pandemic, Elias, I subscribed to YouTube Premium. I found myself watching so much YouTube, the ads were making me crazy. And I got to tell you, if the cost of me not having ads on that platform is $10 to $13 a month, money well spent. My YouTube experience is extremely amazing. And I look at this and I think about my hesitancy with X and Twitter as being a main platform for me. And when I saw this model, I thought, if this could deliver on that, I think I'd be all in on an X experience like that.
Mitch, we got to run. Always a great time talking to you.
Thanks for the time, Elias.
Mitch Joel, tech advisor, investor, and author of Control Alt Delete.